Okay, it's time for an album that was making quite a bit of waves from a fairly reputable prog out piece. These guys have made a little bit of a splash, and I'm pretty excited to talk about it. So, yeah, let's dive in. Stay for the Ending from District 97. So, District 97 is a US prog band. I kind of think that they're a little bit more on the heavy rock side of things. They definitely utilize a lot more of like the metal outreach. And I want to be perfectly honest right from the beginning in that District 97 has put out some really, really fantastic albums that I have never really connected with. You know, I've seen them live a handful of times, and each time I see them live, they are always like top notch. I really respect their musicianship. The music that they're playing, I could recognize as being really, really good and really, really outstanding. But I've never really connected with the albums that they've put out. I really can appreciate and admire their debut album of Hybrid Child. I really enjoyed moments from In Vaults, but some of their albums like Trouble with Machines and Screens and I don't know, I never really connected all that much with their music, even though they have a lot of the things that I love about progressive rock. You know, they've got those very interesting time signatures, really amazing guitar work and intricate playing styles, but I just never really found myself connected all that much. So it's been quite a while since we've had a new studio album from them. Like, I believe Screenplay was from 2021, a live album, but I think Screens was the last one they put out in 2019. And as I mentioned, I'm not all that excited about that. So when it came for Stay for the Ending, I was like, I was even debating if I was going to check it out or not. So I quickly put on Stay for the Ending, and I was pleasantly surprised. I really enjoyed what they were doing with this one. I feel it's a little bit more accessible for individuals such as myself that never really connected with any of their other prior works, you know. I like that they're really growing as a band, you know, and I really appreciate the style and the essence that we have on here. It's more of like this contemporary prog that other bands like Bent Knee, and I would even say, like, to a certain extent, like Pain of Salvation are kind of playing with, where it's very experimental, heavy rock. And we hear that right from the beginning with the title track of Stay for the Ending, where it's very vibrant, very punching, very heavy. You know, it almost feels as if they wrote these contemporary rock tracks and then just kind of hit the switch to put everything to metal. In terms of the guitar works, like everything else is very contemporary rock in that sense. And I can appreciate and I really enjoy that kind of feeling of this. The one thing that I really want to praise right from the beginning is Leslie Hunt's vocals. Her singing on here is one of the star performers. She has such an angelic and commanding voice on here. You know, she's able to blend this very soft, very light, very airy aspect with a commanding, very powerful presence on here. It's reminding me of Amy Lee from Evanescence that has this very haunting, very operatic, very airy voice with this commanding presence that just will grab onto you and won't let you go. It's reminding me of the lead singers from Bent Knee as well. I also have to commemorate Jim Tashban, I believe is how you pronounce his last name, on the lead guitars. Again, all the guitars feel as if it is this metal forward kind of playing style. In any other place, I could see them tuning the guitars so that it's not quite as harsh, not quite as bombastic, but on here, it is just taking center stage and it won't let go. I do wish that there was a little bit more of an interplay between Jim and Andrew Lawrence on the keyboards. Like, Andrew has a really powerful presence on the keyboards when he's allowed to really shine. And I do feel as if he's taking a little bit more of a back seat on this record in comparisons to the past projects that District 97 has taken. But I think part of that might be, I don't know when it's the guitars playing and when it's the keyboards, because at the end point of Mirror, the second track, there's this incredible solo. And again, I'm not quite sure if it's the guitars or if it's the keyboards, because the sounds that they're able to get out of whatever instrument that they're playing could be from either. And I really appreciate this kind of chameleon style playing where you're not quite sure which one is which, especially when the guitars up to this point have been so steadfast in this one particular style that when it shifts up, you're like, whoa, well, who's doing this then? But unfortunately, I feel as if this album kind of slides into the main issue that I have with all their previous albums, and like, yeah, they're creating this really intense, really interesting music that I'm not all that excited for. Like, on Many New Things and Crossover, they present this really interesting, slower music with some really intricate and complex rhythm styles on there that I'm not as excited about. You know, it's almost as if this is like too intellectual for me. There's not this emotional core that brings me back into it that I'm really hoping to kind of keep me coming back to it, because as I'm listening to it, I'm very intellectually stimulated, and I'm like, yes, this is very interesting, very, you know, all over the place. I'm getting a lot of different flavors, a lot of different styles, but again, I'm almost missing this emotional core that I really wish brought something to the table. You know, and this can be found a little bit on the fifth track of Divided We Fall, where in the midpoint of the track we have this really driven rhythm style with the guitars and the drumming work, and it feels very interesting. You know, it's very driven, and I'm excited for where we are, but I'm waiting for that oomph to hit. You know, I'm waiting for that special sauce to appear. But there are moments on here that I can at least appreciate and really enjoy, like X and X Faded. I really like how it's all rooted around this kind of rhythm section on like the piano. Everything's just in this bum 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 bum. You know, it reminds me of something that like Emerson, Lake and Palmer or King Crimson would do back in the 70s, where everything is very experimental in that sense. And I also like that they're still able to just rock out, you know, with the deck is stacked. Again, I feel as if like when they put their hearts into it, it feels very connected. I really, really enjoy that. And the final track of The Watcher does a really good job of tying this album together. It's a little bit on the longer side at about 9.5 minutes long. And I like the fact that they really kind of summarize the album. They're able to kind of bring a lot of very interesting moments all through the fold in this one track. And it ends very much on a high note. So like Stay for the Ending really is a self-fulfilling prophecy where if you stay for the ending, you're going to be rewarded with one of the best songs. So yeah, in the end, Stay for the Ending from District 97, in my mind, is probably the strongest of all of their albums up to this point. I think this is them at their A game. And this is me prefacing it with, I've never really been all that connected with a lot of their past works. I really found myself enjoying this one. I did come back to it quite often, even if it still falls into those pitfalls of being very intellectually stimulating without really engaging me emotionally. I think this is a great starting point for anybody new to the band. If you haven't listened to any District 97 albums up to this point, give this one a spin. I think you'll really enjoy it. But for now, I will say, Stay for the Ending from District 97 is one that I would ultimately download. You know, it's one to check out. It's one to invest a little bit of time into. I wouldn't necessarily say run, don't walk to go and listen to it, but if you're craving for something with a little bit more teeth, if you're craving with something like you wish your rock music was a little bit more intellectual, it wasn't just your typical dad rock and you think that rock music is kind of stale, maybe give this one a spin. Maybe you'll find that it's rejuvenating and recontextualizing some of what rock music is doing lately. So yeah, that's what I've got to say for Stay for the Ending. What did you guys think about this record? Did you love it? Did you hate it? How does it compare to the past discography? Whatever you thought, please let me know by commenting down below. And that's all I've got. So thank you all so much for watching. As always, you guys are definitely the best. And until next time, notes out.